And the reason we have urges to do that are the same reasons we have the urges to eat and procreate and everything else.
Yeah, no, the urges came from what? It came from the design of a DNA molecule that only had two little thoughts. And I'm using quotes, okay? One of my asshole commenters, I use this word quotes, the word thoughts, because I'm saying, yeah, obviously a molecule can't think, all right? So we'll use another word just for these fucktards who are going to play these games. It only has the simple agenda, okay? The little machine has a simple agenda. It consumes, and then through that consumption, it creates enough extra parts, and it builds another copy of itself. That's its agenda, all right? That's what we're born from. That's our heritage, our parentage. All right, we are built on that model. Underneath all our electric windows and our Bose speakers and our Corinthian leather seats. All right, that's the machine that lies underneath it all.
DNA starts us off with. It's because it's in the DNA's best interest of survival for us to work together sometimes as well.
Yeah, well, you can say work together, but that's really not what it's about, right? It's addictions and attachments, all right? So even that is the rainbow way to look at it, the phantasmagorical better light you're shining on it. It's not the true light, it's the pink light, okay? It's the friendly light, all right? Because even in creating that cooperation is created for a purpose, to make our machines more successful, our individual machines.
Sometimes to work, at pretty opposing ends, like prey and predator. But definitely also sometimes cooperation, for example, with your family.
Yeah, well, your family are just playing the prey and predator game, okay? They're ganging up. The fact that somewhere in the natural selection, the Einstein theory that, if we gang up on the other guy, we'll be able to beat the shit out of him easier. The fact that nature figured that one out, I'm using figuratively again, is no big surprise. It's no big surprise that it would be advantageous to use gang tactics in your struggle for survival, when that's all that matters.
You really went off the deep end in this one, Gary, and I don't mean the whole, grow a brain, fucktard kind of stuff, whatever you say, because I don't even hear that. You might as well be going.
Yeah, well, whatever. I don't say that stuff for your pleasure. I say it for my own pleasure, okay? It satisfies me to say that kind of shit.
It's just filler to me. That means nothing. I mean, you went off the deep end in ideas. Because, okay, first of all, you're going to tell me this is all because I have decided that life is worthwhile, and that it is add to some further purpose, you could call it.
Yeah, did you decide it, though? I mean, or did you just assume it? Or did you just presume it? I mean, did you ever do the deciding part? Did you ever do the analysis and the judgment part? I mean, a fair analysis and a fair judgment?
Higher, you could call it whatever, but basically it's the fact that living is good, ultimately.
Right, and the heroin addict is going to say the same. The heroin is good. Okay, I can pull a cigarette out and I'm going to say the cigarette is good. Okay, because I'm an addict. The alcoholic's going to say the rum is good. So what's the fucking point of that bullshit? Explain why it is good in and of itself. Explain why the alcohol is good. Why the cigarette in and of itself is good. Why the heroin in and of itself is good.
And in a way it's neither good nor bad, but see, we have enough of the good part. You can stay away from enough of the bad part that you can make life a net good for yourself.
Isn't it all subjective, though? I mean, isn't that just your subjective, addicted psychology making a determination about how much you're willing to pay for your heroin, right? And so, yeah, you're the product of people who are willing to pay a lot for heroin. Okay, you've been birthed through generations of people who are willing to pay a lot for the heroin. So the fact that you are willing to pay a lot for it is no big surprise. But again, you're talking psychology, you're not talking philosophy. Shouldn't philosophers be talking about the real question? And the real question is what's the objective value? What's the value from the broadest perspective?
Okay. And I don't mean just for yourself as a human, I mean for yourself as humanity. Like the bad part of dying in a snowstorm. I mean, we can protect humanity from that. It'll still go on. There'll still be bugs and some animals unprotected from the ravages of those storms. And the net total could be said to be, I doubt it would be negative. I'm sort of more of the school of thought that says it might all add up to zero.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, it just keeps happening. I mean, Darwin's hamster, Matt, you, Gray Tex. I mean, you all just pull that out of your pockets. You pull out this, it's all a neutral. It's all okay in the end. It all balances out. It might even be a profit. Okay, that's how you do the books. You just say I think it's a black number. That's right. I think it's a black number. I think it's okay. But you have nothing. There's no math to do here. You provide no variables. You don't put anything into the equation. Just make the statement. At least I have put something on the table. What I've put on the table is an explanation that our satisfaction is created by the elimination of a negative deprivation. Okay, we have to be made deprivated. We have to feel some want and need, and sometimes it's a very harsh want and need. But anyway, we have to have that negative before we can obtain the positive of the satisfaction. And then once we have used up that positive, because the positive satisfies a negative. And so it really doesn't have any value to compensate for somebody else's suffering somewhere. All right? And so if we have to put this crap on the scales, and if every consciousness had to live the worst of life and the best of life, I don't know how many of these individuals would accept the bargain. All right, if they had to live the actual net quality of life on Earth, the 3 million people living in harsh deprivation, 3 billion living in harsh deprivation versus the 2.5 billion living in mediocrity versus the maybe 1/2 billion or whatever it is that are living a nice, pleasant, comfortable life. I mean, if that whole equation had to be experienced by one consciousness, I don't think they're going to be saying it's neutral or zero or not a negative number. I'm damn sure they're not going to be saying it's a positive number. And I think the math, if you really start putting it to people, if you start putting the question to them, would you, if you were in a neutral position, if you were in some place where you're not living anymore and you have the choice to live and endure the experience, would you accept this to have that? And that's where this thing gets more meaningful. But accept the reality, okay? Not accepting good fortune, not accepting the good life. I mean, that's easy to do, I suppose, especially from our relative perspective. But we're still operating as functional addicts. All right, so that's still going to be an issue. I've made this point before. There's no such word as unacceptable to human beings. They will accept anything. Okay, I could kill 4 billion people tomorrow, and they would accept it, and they'd move right past it. They'd walk right over the bodies and chase their next Big Mac. All right, we are compulsive desire machines, and that's the real irony here. Is the equation can never take place if it's going to take place in our psychology, because our psychology is never die, never give up, fight, fight, fight. All right, but philosophy is a different subject. It is not about our addicted psychology.
But we, with our free will, can take positive something out of that.
Oh, you're not going to say free will. I didn't realize you even said that in a stupid video. We with our free will. Come on. I mean, do we really have to do video number 753 on the subject of free fucking will? There's no such thing, Pyro. We are programmed machines. The intelligence is programmed. It's a reflexive machine. The reflexes have to be conditioned. There's no free anything in these brains.
total. We don't experience the whole universe, so we aren't stuck being a sum total of zero. Okay, and I don't even think that as a species we're stuck with a sum total of zero. I think...
Yeah, well, whatever. I mean, does it matter? I mean, like I said, if we can certainly privilege your conscious experience, does that negate the existence of the negative experience? I don't think it does. I mean, especially, I don't think it does in a philosophical sense. It's the job of philosophers to, again, have that broader perspective and realize if there is a cost to something, you have to appreciate the cost. Whether you have to pay for it or not is not the issue. The issue is there a price being paid?